What's up guys, it's Meg giving you another deck thinking evolution. Today guys, we're doing a deck I never thought I would be making because I didn't think it would actually go well, and that is BA Orcust, which is Burning Abyss Orcust, guys. One finally stress, this is my own opinion at the end of the day, and it is completely cool if you disagree with any of the cards I do show in this video. Now guys, the reason why I didn't think this deck would run is because some of the Burning Abyss extra deck monsters like Beatrice and Dante are light attribute, and the Orcust monsters, if you play one of their abilities except Galatea, lock you into dark only monsters. So that's why we didn't think the deck would go. But Nick Leon in chat in one of the live streams asked if it was possible, and obviously me and chat were talking about it. I love Orcust, so we were just talking about it in general. I had an Orcust deck on file, so we all decided, well, no, let's just give it a try. And then we just started talking about it, putting cards in, and it was it turned out to actually be a fun deck, guys. It is really, really fun. It can be quite powerful as well. Like, you play through a lot of interruptions and whatnot. So, yeah, guys, this is the deck, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you are struggling to make the deck, check out the card hub in the description down below. And with that, guys, let's get into it. Guys, I might pronounce these names wrong because it's the first time I've ever even played Burning Abysses. So we've got one copy, is it Alich, Malabrink of Burning Abyss. These names are weird. So all the Burning Abyss guys have an effect where if you control a monster that isn't a Burning Abyss, they get destroyed. They have two effects each that all of them have. One of them they all share, where if you control no spell or traps, you can special summon the Burning Abyss from your hand. So all of them have that ability. Then they also have an ability that triggers if they go to the graveyard. Please bear in mind you can only use one ability per turn. So that means if you special summoned a Burning Abyss, you won't be able to trigger its graveyard ability because you can only use one of the effects. So if Alich is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field and negate its abilities, which is kind of like a imperm or an effect veiler for the turn, and it's really great because with the Burning Abysses, you can trigger their abilities during your opponent's turn, especially if you control another monster. So then that way you can force a Farther or force Alich or anything like that to force the abilities to trigger. So you can have interruptions. We've got two copies of Ash Blossom, guys, because fantastic cantrip. If your opponent does anything from the deck, like add a card, special summon, or send a card, she just shuts them down. We've got two copies of Calacab, which is, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a set spell or trap and return it to the hand. This is only a set spell or trap, so face-up spell or traps this guy cannot affect. But just being able to just bounce back row back is really great. Now we've got one copy of Kerr. Now Kerr, guys, he's limited to one. He and Graf are limited to one. So if this guy was obviously two, it would be you'd definitely run the two. Because if this guy hits the graveyard, you can target a Burning Abyss in your grave and special summon it. So it basically will special summon the Burning Abyss, which then, of course, if you control another monster, it would destroy that Burning Abyss to proc its ability. So you see what I mean, where you can really proc their abilities. Now we're running two copies of Crusadia Arabora, I believe I say her name correctly. The reason we're running this is because it's so easy to go into links like Cherubini, Halki Fibrex, Galatea, and this is just another combo extender because she's level 3. So if you can special summon her next to a zone a link monster points to, basically for free. That's her special ability. You can't use the other special abilities, but you can basically just special summon her for a level 3 because obviously with her and obviously the Burning Abysses and all of our other level 3 extenders, you can go into Dante so easily, and Dante can mill our deck. We've got two copies of Danger Jackalope and Danger Tushinoko. I so cannot pronounce the snake. So the reason why we're running these two specific dangers is because they're level 3. So they work well to go into go into Dante, and the dark attributes. Even if you do play a Orcust monster's effect, you can still play their abilities, and also, even if you don't hit them, you always combo extend off. So what I mean by that is the dangers have an ability where you have to choose. Yeah, you reveal the danger. One card gets chosen at random. If it hits a card that isn't the danger monster, you get special from the danger. Draw a card to replace it. If it hits the danger, then that goes to the graveyard. So if Jackalope goes to the graveyard, like if it's discarded, get special in any danger, basically the snake, from your deck. And The snake, if that gets discarded, it special summons itself. So you see what I mean? So even with Jackalope and the snake, regardless of the outcome, you always summon a monster off their effects. So that's what I mean with the level 3s to just free combo extending. We've got one copy of Farther. Yeah, guys, not the YouTuber, by the way, or the fantastic streamer. Farther, guys, if he hits the graveyard, you can target one monster in the field and banish it. Really great because it's just an interruption during your opponent's turn. Just banish whatever monster they want. Then we've got one copy of Graph, because Graph is limited to one. So Graph, guys, if it hits the graveyard, you can special summon a Burning Abyss from your deck. Obviously, that's why it's limited to one. So Graph, guys, you can special summon that Kerr. Then you just send Kerr to the graveyard, and then obviously you resurrect a monster from your graveyard. That's kind of like what the cycle is all about. Now onto the Orcust cards. I'm only running one copy of Brass Bombard because Bombard is kind of like the worst of the Orcust cards, but it's still great. So because he's an Orcust, you can special summon him, and also because he's level 3 or lower tuner, you can special summon him off of Alki-Fibrax to go into Galatea. That's why we run him. And also if he is in the graveyard and you do draw an Orcust card, you can special summon it for free because obviously you banish Brass Bombard in your graveyard. Special summon one of your Orcust cards. That's the reason why we draw him. And then we've got two copies of Chimebell Skeleton. This guy is level 3, so he works with Cherubini's ability. You can banish it from your graveyard to resurrect any Orcust monster in your graveyard. So during like your opponent's turn, this card is great to basically resurrect Dingirsu. So you can obviously play Dingirsu's ability during your opponent's turn, and he just sets up for a lot of plays. And then we've got two copies of Nightmare or Orcust Nightmare because you target one monster on the field, could be your opponent's or yours. Then you can send a dark monster or dark machine from your deck to your grave, basically one of your Orcust cards or our World Wand. And then your monster you targeted will gain 100 attack for each of that monster's level. So if you send Skeleton, your monster is gonna gain 300 attack points. So this is just a nice way to dump any one of your, basically your Orcust or whatever into the graveyard, and it's such a good combo with World Wand. Now guys, we're doing a small Predaplant engine, and the reason why, they're both level 3s, and you get access to Super Polymerization, and you're set up for Cherubini. So, all for Scorpio guys, if it is normal special summon, you send any monster from your hand to the grave. You can set up your graveyard, particularly if you've got like an Orcust in your hand, because obviously the effect will trigger in the graveyard. Then you get special summon another Predaplant from your deck. So for instance, Darling Cobra is realistically a Garnet. You don't really want to see Cobra at all. So Orpheus Scorpio special summons out Cobra, and Cobra, since it was special summoned, lets you add Super Polymerization directly to your hand. Then because both of them are level 3, you can link them off into Cherubini, and then obviously you can do all your other plays like you can go into, like, if you got any more combo extenders, you go into Dante, you can go into your Orcust cards. The world's your oyster. That's the reason why we run these. Now we're running 2 copies of Psychic Tracker and 2 copies of Psychic Wielder. These two are basically the same card, but one of them's a tuner, one's not. So if you control a level 3 monster, you can special summon these from your hand. So they're basically just a free combo extenders. The main and only reason you're ever going to run these, just for a free combo extender, goes into Cherubini, goes into Dante, and because one of them's a tuner, you obviously Wielder, you can go into Alki-Fibrax to bring out basically Brass Bombard if you want to go into your Orcust plays. Now guys, you already one copy of Rubik. Again, because he is a tuner, you can go into Alki-Fibrax, go into tuner plays, and also because he's a Burning Abyss, special summon it, you can go into Cherubini that way, and also you can special summon him off of like Graph and Sir. So you see what I mean? We have a lot of plays. And then we've got 2 copies of Skarm. Skarm, guys, is really great because if he hits the graveyard during the end phase, you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend from your deck to the hand. And 9 times out of 10, the monster you're going to add off of Skarm is going to be Tour Guide. She's a level 3 Fiend, so she meets the requirement for Skarm. And for Tour Guide's ability is, guys, when she's normal summoned, special summon a level 3 Fiend from your deck, which basically equals any Burning Abyss, but the effects are negated. So that means whichever monster you summon off a Tour Guide won't destroy itself because obviously its effects negated. So it means a Tour Guide equals either a Dante or a Cherubini, which is really, really overpowered. And then finally we're running a copy of World Wand. World Wand, guys, guys, you basically are going to be sending off Orcust Nightmare because you can remove World Wand in your graveyard from play to special summon a banish Orcust monster. So if you use Nightmare Orcust's ability, you can basically send World Wand. World Wand resurrects Nightmare. Then that way you can go into all of your, like, you can go into Galatea, you can go into Dingirsu, or because you played Orcust Nightmare's ability. Some spells, guys, we're running Allure of Darkness because a lot of our cards are Dark Attribute. The only reason I'm running one is because you don't really want to banish. Like, the only things you really want to banish is like your Orcust cards, but apart from that, anything else doesn't really want to be banished, but drawing those 2 cards is key. Foolish Burial, because we've got a lot of cards we can play from the graveyard, like your Orcust cards you can send to the graveyard, some certain Burning Abysses, like Sir or Graf, you can use their abilities, or you can send like Farther. It's a really great card. Orchestrated Babble, guys, because again, Orcust cards, you can trigger your this card lets you play your Orcust abilities during your opponent's turn, because it makes any Orcust monster, it makes all their effects become quick effects, so you can do it all, so during your opponent's turn, all your Orcust abilities you can play. Orchestrated Return, guys, because you just send an Orcust or World Legacy monster from your hand to the grave, and you get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty nice. Super Polymerization, because you can summon like Starving Venom during your opponent's turn. Here's Search Above Darling Cobra, and because a lot of our cards are Dark Attributes, so easy to play Super Polymerization. Now, guys, for our trap lineup, we had decided to run 2 copies of Imperm and 1 copy of Orcust Crescendo. The reason why we decided to go for this specific lineup was because Imperm is nice. It's like an Effect Veiler on steroids, because it can't be caught by the graves. You can play it from your hand. If you control no cards, it's great. Go in second card. And if you set it and activate it, any card in the same any spell or trap in the same column has its effects negated. The reason why we decided to go for 2 and not 3 is because Orcust Crescendo is just because it has Orcust in its name. It's searchable with Galatea. It's an Omnigate. So this is an Omnigate. This is a Monster Negate. So that's why it's that's why I decided to go for this specific lineup. So Orcust Crescendo is if you have a Orcust Link monster, so basically Galatea in play. If your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, you negate and banish the card. So that's really great. And on to the extra deck, guys. We're running 1 copy of Starving Venom because, again, we're running Super Polymerization. Starving Venom, if its fusion summon gains attack equal to 1 special summon monster, which is nice. It can steal a level 5 or higher monster's special ability, which again is really, really sweet. And then finally, if it does get destroyed, you destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls, which is really sweet. Traps, guys, are running 1 copy of Beatrice. You use Beatrice by using a Dante and by discarding any Burning Abyss monster from your hand. Beatrice is absolutely great because she has a quick effect where during either player's turn, you can send 1 card in your deck to the graveyard. So because you do, you could send any Orcust card if you've got Babble in play. You could send any Burning Abyss to trigger their abilities. So you could send during your opponent's turn a Farther, banish whatever card your opponent normal summons. Beatrice is a really great card. We've got 2 copies of Dante because Dante, you need 2 level 3 monsters, so easy to do in this deck. You can choose from cards from 1 to 3. 9 times out of 10 you'll always choose 3. Send that many cards from your deck to the grave. Please bear in mind, guys, this is a cost. You have to detach a monster, mill 3 cards as a cost. Then Dante will gain 500 attack for each card you send. So if you send 3 cards, he'll be up to 2,500 attack, which is really sweet. And if Dante goes to the graveyard, you can target any Burning Abyss monster in your hand and add it to your or any Burning Abyss in your grave and add it to your hand. Dingirsu, guys, you can only summon Dingirsu once per turn, so please bear that in mind. Dingirsu, you can special summon off of Galatea if you because if you control an Orcust Link, you can use that as material to go into Dingirsu, which is really overpowered. And if Dingirsu hits the field, 3 abilities can trigger. You can send 1 card your opponent controls to the grave, which doesn't target, doesn't destroy, so that means it gets around Chaos Max, it gets around Avamax if you use Masquerena, it gets around any card in the game because it doesn't target and it doesn't destroy, it just sends a card to the grave. Or you can target a banished machine monster and equip it to Dingirsu. So it means you can like recycle your banished monsters. And Dingirsu's other ability is, should any card you control be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can attach one Exceeds material and that card isn't destroyed. That effect isn't a once per turn, so if you have like 5 Exceeds materials on Dingirsu, you can protect your cards from being destroyed up to 5 times. Like, you see what I mean? It's that effect isn't a once per turn. links, guys, we decided to go for Appaloosa because you can easily go into Appaloosa for some monster negates. Appaloosa will gain 800 attack for each material you use, and whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, Appaloosa will lose 800 attack to negate that effect. That effect isn't once per turn; it's a once per chain. So that means if you use two monsters to go into Appaloosa, she'll have 2 monster negates. If you use 3 monsters, it will have 3 monster negates. That's how Appaloosa works. We've got 2 copies of Cherubini. This, guys, I can understand now why people say Cherubini is one of the most powerful links ever created. It is really, really great. So, monsters Cherubini points to can't be destroyed by card effects. That means if you have your Burning Abyss monsters, like say for instance Skarm, pointing to Cherubini's link, even if you summon another monster to the field that isn't a Burning Abyss, your monster isn't destroyed, because Cherubini is protecting your Burning Abysses from being destroyed by their own abilities. Only the monsters that are summoned next to her links. So Cherubini is really overpowered. Secondly, if Cherubini would be destroyed by battle or by a card effect, you can send any other card you control to the graveyard instead. Really great, so it gives Cherubini some protection. And you can send 1 level 3 monster from your deck to the grave, like Symbol, like any one of our Burning Abysses. Then Cherubini will gain attack and defense equal to that monster. So if you sent Symbol, Cherubini will gain 1,200 attack points, which is really, really great. Then we have Halqifibrax, as again, any monster can go into or any 2 monsters, one of them being a tuner, goes into Halqifibrax. And then that means Halqifibrax can bring out Orcust Brass Bombard, which means then you link Halqifibrax and Brass Bombard together to go into Galatea, which then goes into all of your Orcust support. That's the reason why I run Halqifibrax. I don't run him as much as I don't use him as a lot as I should do. I only do it if I want access to my Orcust cards, if I don't draw any or like mill any. That's the only reason I play Halqifibrax. We decided to go for the Light Swarm Dominion because the main monsters we are using are basically our dark attributes. I know some of them are, but the majority of them are dark. With this card, you can target. With this card, once per turn, you can send 1 card from your deck to the grave. Basically, triggers the effects pretty much. Or and if this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, you can if a card is sent from your deck to the grave, you get to send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave as well. So you see what I mean? So easy to just mill cards. The main reason why we use Curious. 2 copies of Galatea because Galatea is really overpowered. 2 effect monsters. One of them does have to be an Orcust, so any Orcust and any other monster will make Galatea. Galatea, guys, cannot be destroyed by battle if she's pointing to a monster. So any monster, including your opponents, if they're pointing to Galatea, she cannot be destroyed by battle. You can target, and the effect is you can target 1 of your banished machine monsters, shuffle into the deck. Then you get to set an Orcust spell or trap directly from your deck. So that means you can set a Babel, activate Babel. That means Galatea and all of your other monsters' effect becomes quick effect. You can search out Orcust Crescendo. You can sort out Orcust Return if you want to draw 2 cards. She's absolutely fantastic. Galatea is one of the best cards in the deck. IP Masquerader, guys, it's really, really great Masquerader in this deck because you can link off Dingirsu. Like if you've got Babel and you've got Skeleton in play, you can link off Dingirsu and go into Masquerader. Then during your opponent's turn, you can use Masquerader and any of your other cards to link summon. Masquerader can link summon during your opponent's turn, and you're normally going to go into Nightmare Unicorn. And if Nightmare Unicorn is link summoned, you can discard 1 card, target 1 card your opponent controls on the field, bounce it into the deck. So that means off of just a single Galatea, just a single Masquerader and like Babel, you can have 2 interruptions. So Masquerader can go into Nightmare Unicorn, you discard a card, bounce 1 card your opponent has. Say your opponent has another combo extender, you just remove Skeleton in your graveyard from play, resurrect Dingirsu. Dingirsu then sends another card in the field to the graveyard. The plays, guys, are really endless with this deck. It is really, really fun. And yeah, guys, that's it for the deck. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I do have a lot of replays coming up, so I do hope you guys enjoy the replays, and you just get to see this deck in action. Guys, I do hope you enjoy. If you do, hit that thumbs up, I consider subscribing, because either one does help this channel grow. At any further ado, guys, take care, have a great day or night. bye.